What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rec Room. It's your boy Tony the Brick Whisperer, and oh my goodness, thank y'all so much for being patient with me. It has been a strange few weeks. I hope everybody had a great Easter. So, what took me so long? That is an excellent question. I'm glad you asked. Oh my goodness. So, number one, I had picked up some sets for Mrs. Brick Whisperer so that she could have some Lego decorations for Easter. Some of them were missing parts, so I was waiting on parts to arrive. The video that I was working on, like no kidding, I have recorded these builds probably 3 weeks ago. But there was one set that I wanted to include. So I was also waiting on that. So we're talking a set, parts to finish the Easter sets, and no joke, I ordered all of that a month ago, and they're still not here. To say that I am not very happy on that front is an understatement. But you know what? I have some downtime this morning before I have to get to work. So, how about we dive right into the disclaimers? Lego is giving me nothing. No sponsorship there. Bricks and Minifigs Avondale is not giving me nothing except an awesome job, one heck of an awesome job that I love. I absolutely love the job, and I love all the customers that come by and pay us a visit. No sponsors. No one's giving me anything, and all of these are sets that I have bought, or my wife has bought, for her collection. As you know, the Star Wars stuff, it'll come one day. So after we go through these builds, I am going to try to discuss something about the future of what it is that I am going to be recording once I am done completely with all of the non-Star Wars sets. So, how about we dive right in and get to work? And once again, here I am slacking just a little bit by not having everything up and ready. So, I'm sure you saw the title of the episode, March of the BrickHeadz. Today, BrickHeadz. Only BrickHeadz. So the comical thing about the BrickHeadz, as you saw in previous videos, I believe it was for Valentine's Day, I had built a couple for Mrs. Brick Whisperer, and I believe I had already said this. She saw them. She loves them. She wanted to see how many other BrickHeadz were out there. And so what did I do? I showed her. Oops. Yeah, that one's on me. So she started saying, ooh, I like that one, and I like that one, and ooh, I really like that one. And I was just like, this is a slippery slope. Be careful. Yeah, 5 came in the mail. So those are the 5 that we're going to do today. So first on the chopping block, boom, this little guy right here, set number 40671, the Potted Groot. So Mrs. Brick Whisperer absolutely loves Groot, always has, ever since I introduced her to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Guardians of the Galaxy. When she saw him in the little pot just dancing, she thought he was the cutest thing. So hey, why not get the BrickHead of it? Alright, so this set was released on the 1st of February of 2024 for a recommended retail price of only $10. Not a bad little set. I enjoyed it. So what do you say we dive into the build? So here we go. And we're off. So one thing that I kind of boo-booed on when recording all of these was that, you know, these sets, these 5 particular BrickHeadz that we'll be going over today, they range from 113 parts to 176 parts. Let's face it, they're quick builds. Potted Groot here took me 10 minutes. And so what did I do? I recorded them all in real time, and when I decided to start editing this, I realized that this video was going to be over an hour. Oops. So I did some playing around with my video editing software and saw that I can now really mess with getting it sped up. So here we are. We got ourselves a little time lapse for 1 minute and 30 seconds. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, On this software, the time lapse I think is a little smoother than the time lapse from the camera. But hey, as you see, we're just rocking and rolling. Groot's there in his pot. I loved the detail that they put into him. It's not, each side is not necessarily symmetrical, so it kind of gives him that organic look. And now we slap together the base and call it a day. And look at that little guy. Oh yes, Mrs. Brick Whisperer has been anxiously awaiting getting him into her office. I know she can't wait, and I'm sure I'm probably going to get him in there while she's in the middle of a meeting with her boss, which I think will be funny to hear her squeal while talking to him. I know, I'm evil. So a fun little build, little guy. I don't mind the BrickHeadz at all. I think they're kind of fun. I've got just about all the Star Wars ones. I'm probably missing 2 or 3, but that's okay. We will get there. All right, going into our next BrickHead. Some people call him. I think it was Project 626. Mama loves him. Mrs. Brick Whisperer loves him. Why? Because we are talking about Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, set number 40674. Originally released, again, on the 1st of February 2024 for a recommended retail price of, again, $10. So we'll just get rid of that. Another fun little build. I love how they, kind of showed the non-symmetry, the messed up ears on them, and we're going to get into that. Like I had said, again, why I chose to film it in real time, because I figured, 10 minutes ain't bad. For Mr. Stitch here, it took 12. Not bad. And then it occurred to me, so that's why we're trying to speed these up a bit. This way you're not sitting here watching me build for an hour. I'm sure you have better things to do. I appreciate the fact that you want to watch me. I love that. Thank you very much. So let's dive right into the build. Here we go. All right, let's cut him out of the box. Let's get these parts organized. And fingers crossed that I don't have any more technical issues. If it's not one thing, it's another. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I wonder if it's Stitch himself. It never occurred to me in any of the previous takes. Because, I get to work and either my camera would stop recording or my video would stop that I watch as I say all of this. Something has been happening. I wonder if it's Stitch. Which makes a lot of sense. Little troublemaker. So there you see that red part inside there. That's his heart. The attention to detail I just think is comical. There's his brain. More of the anatomy. And so we get this guy built. Slap together his damaged ears. What a fun little guy to build. I know my daughters love him. They got Stitch sweaters, Stitch pajamas. We all can't wait to see that live action movie. Now let's get that base together, and well, there he is. I wonder if that look of shock on his face is because I think he knows where he's going, into Mrs. Brick Whisperer's office. She doesn't put up with troublemakers. Remember that. All right, so Stitch is done. A fun little build. Always have like Stitch. So now we're going to dive right into our next build. So this is funny. You obviously don't necessarily see everything that goes on in between takes and so forth. I had finished all of this just a little bit ago, just a few minutes ago. And then I started taking stuff to the recycle bin. And then my camera, I don't know what happened, but it didn't record quite a bit of what I call my commentary. And so I had to run out to the recycle bin to grab out boxes in hopes that the recycle man didn't come yet. Thankfully, he hasn't. So let's dive into the next set directly from the 100 Acre Wood, one of the friends of Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. Boom! We have set number 40797, Eeyore. Originally released on 1st of February, 1st of March, one of the two of 2025, for recommended retail price of $10. So, a fun little build, lots of little parts. So, what do you say we dive in? Here we go. Alright, let's try this again. Open box, dump contents, organize contents. Organizing contents, as I look and I watch this, organizing contents is, is wise. And then I sit there and I think, oh my goodness, lots of tiny parts. Maybe I should rethink how I organize and just put these tiny parts into a little area, just bunched together, not looking all nice and neat. Something to consider for the next video. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's get his feet built. I love how they made Eeyore, sit. Kind of reminds me of some of the previous BrickHeadz I had made. I believe it was the dog who kind of just sits there. And I think it's comical that they did it with Eeyore because, well, I just think he looks... You often see him sitting there moping. Well, it makes sense, Feet sprawled out. Or maybe he just got tired and he just wants to sit. I don't know. And the detail that they put in his face, come on. That's a mopey Eeyore if I've ever seen one. Get his mane going. Top of his head. The top of his mane. Onto the tail, which we will be discussing here momentarily. And there is little mopey Eeyore. Again, one of Mrs. Brick Whisperer's favorites, one of my favorites. Fun little build, let me tell you. Now, in my opinion, they missed an opportunity with Eeyore. And when I say they, I'm referring to the Lego designers. So, for those of us that grew up watching Winnie the Pooh, and we know about Eeyore, what's one of his biggest identifying features? It would be his tail, and the fact that he is always losing it. Now, something that, in my opinion, Lego could have done is, how do we attach it? Because this is how it's done through, how Lego has it in their instructions. It's just, obviously it just attaches. And that I'm not disputing. But how is Eeyore's tail attached in Winnie the Pooh? Some might call it a nail. Some might call it a tack. I believe it's a pin. And the reason why I say it's a pin is, what kind of animal is Eeyore? He is a donkey. Pin, donkey, pin the tail on the donkey. Get it? My thought process anyway. So in my opinion, they could have added one of these. It's just a simple round 1x1 tile. Whether it's pearl light bluish gray, or I don't know if that's pearl silver, flat silver, whatever the case may be. Because, boom, just like that, now he has something attaching his tail. In my opinion, a much better modification. And so now we're going to dive right into our next build. My wife is in the back hollering. So I hope everything is okay. All right, so on to our next build, which is, boom, from the movie Turning Red, set number 40798, Red Panda May. Again, originally released 1st of February or 1st of March of 2025 for that recommended retail price of $10. So another fun little build. I love the little printed elements. Thought they were very well done. So what do you say we get this build knocked out? Here we go. All right, here we go. Again, cut open box, dump contents, organized contents. So I have said it in previous videos. I will say it once again. Mrs. Brick Whisperer absolutely loves red pandas. Well, she loves all pandas. And so, off to the races. We get this knocked out. I like red pandas. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I guess I like pandas too. And I only say that because they are some goofy animals, let me tell you. The red pandas, when threatened, what do? They get on their hind legs to make themselves seem bigger. And what they really don't know is that to everybody else, they just laugh because they're just that much more adorable. Every night, my wife and I, we send each other videos, and sometimes I will throw in a panda video just to see her get, just to see her become giddy. I think it's funny. All right. Get some of the final details put on. And here we go with the base. And there is Red Panda May. And, like I was saying, there's the eyebrow printed piece, the chest, also, that curved slope printed element. Very well done, gents. Or very well done, folks, over at LEGO. Good job. So Red Panda May was, again, a pretty cool set. I don't know if it's one that I would have added to my collection, but like I said, Mrs. Brick Whisperer absolutely loves those pandas. That's fine. So now we're gonna get into the final BrickHead here, straight from the circus. We have set number 40792, Dumbo. Mrs. Brick Whisperer absolutely loves this one. Originally released, it was either the 1st of February or the 1st of March of 2025. Can anybody guess what that recommended retail price was? If you said $10, you're absolutely correct. And so we'll just toss that way. And so we're going to dive right into Dumbo's build. My mom had came over for Easter. She saw it. She thought it was great. And so hopefully you will too. So let's dive in. All right. Here we go with the final BrickHead of the day. So Dumbo, and probably because of the ears, he had the most parts at 176. Now Eeyore, so Red Panda May, a 10-minute build, quick. Dumbo, 15 minutes. All in all, very quick builds. BrickHeadz do not take a whole lot of time. The only time-consuming part is when you have to deal with the little elements. And, just like Eeyore and some of the other previous BrickHeadz, they decided to make Eeyore sit, which I think is great. Let's face it, baby elephants, they are kind of clumsy. They fall on their butt from time to time. Maybe He was flying, and that was how he landed. But either way, a fun little build. So I've been having technical difficulties all morning. Let's hope that I don't have any more. We're almost there. We get that head put on. So my favorite thing about this was the simple fact that the ears, while not symmetrical in the sense that they're the exact same, they're the exact mirror image of each other, so I could jump ahead and be able to knock out both at the same time, which in my opinion just makes it go that much quicker. Get his face put together, slap on his trunk, put his hat on, get him on the base. And there he is. Now I know Mrs. Brick Whisperer is going to love him because, let's face it, he's Dumbo. Everybody thinks that a lot of these BrickHeadz are cute, and with that, she's going to think that it's especially cute because of those chubby, chubby cheeks. And so there you have it. All 5 BrickHeadz knocked out, and like I said, the one that I am waiting on, I'll just get that thrown in another video at another time. It's been too long since I got a video up, so hey, let's throw one up. I'll deal with that another time. Earlier, I had made mention of videos. What am I going to do after I've built all of my wife's stuff? Well, I know there's a lot of you. I've spoken to a lot of you over at Bricks and Minifigs Avondale in regards to my Star Wars sets. So all of my Star Wars stuff is currently in storage. And just because it's in storage does not mean my collecting has stopped. In fact, my collection has grown considerably. And I'm hoping that when the time comes and I start actually building all my Star Wars stuff, I'm going to have a counter going as I build. So what am I going to build in between everything from Mrs. Brick Whisperer's collection, the stuff that I have that is not Star Wars, such as my Corvette, which got me really excited when I heard the news yesterday that, or I should say the rumor, that they're planning on making a C2 Corvette. I'm a Corvette guy. I love Corvettes. My Pyramid I bought because of my year that I spent in Egypt while I was in the Army. So, there are some sets that I have that are not Star Wars related. So what comes after all of those? Well, you see the bins. So I'm always receiving bins of stuff, and I think what I'm going to start doing is actually start filming the sets that I am going to take to Bricks in Minifigs Avondale to do my trades. If you notice right back there in that corner, there used to be a table there that had a castle set. That castle set was very cool. I had a lot of fun putting that one together. I traded it in. In fact, I traded in quite a few. And it didn't occur to me that maybe that is something that I should do until the time comes to put together the Star Wars stuff. So, might be a wise idea to start doing some of that until I am able to build the Star Wars collection back. So, with all of that being said, let's just wait and see what the future brings us. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Share this with a friend. Share this with your family. Share this with anybody you know that loves Lego. And for all of my regular attendees here, let me hear you loud and proud when I say, until next time, we will see you when we see you. Y'all have a good day.